What's up, everybody? It's your boy Toxic Boyo, and I am someone that has been playing fighting games for a little more than 20 years. I've played it all. I've played Dragon Ball Z Ultimate Battle 22. I played GT Final Bout. I've played Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, Tekken, King of Fighters, Fatal Fury, Samurai Showdown, Soul Calibur, Virtua Fighter, Dead or Alive, Guilty Gear, Blaze Blue, Grand Blue, the Super Smash Brothers. I've been around the block, safe to say. Injustice, Marvel vs. Capcom, who could forget those two? Um, and over the years, obviously, I've experienced more than my fair share of ups and downs. Um, but have to I have to feel like the genre and the community itself as a whole is in maybe the worst state I've ever seen it in. Um, and that's really disappointing to me because this is my favorite genre. Like I said, I've been playing all these games. I've played them all for so long that I can't really imagine what kind of gamer, at least, I'd be if I hadn't been playing them. I even played X-Men Mutant Academy, Marvel Superheroes 2, you know? Um, I've just, this has been part of my life for so long, and what I mean when I say that I think the genre and the community is in the worst state it's ever been, in a lot of different aspects of media and pop culture, you have what's considered the big three. Um, and that's the three of um, that subgenre or that subject that are either the most iconic, the most successful, the most consistent, or just the most well-known in any given topic, right? Um, you know, in consoles, it's Sony, Nintendo, Microsoft. In manga, is considered to be Bleach, Naruto, One Piece. Um, if you want to make it a coffee thing, you've got Starbucks scooters and Caribou, right? I guess you could put Dunkin' in there instead. None of that matters. The point is, the big three when it comes to fighting games, if you ask 99% of people, they will say Mortal Kombat, Tekken, Street Fighter. But there is something that's happened to two of these three franchises that has thrown their reputations into the toilet, right? I could go on and on about Mortal Kombat for hours and hours if I really wanted to, but what it mostly comes down to with that franchise is the disgusting, over-aggressive monetization practices from Warner Brothers and NetherRealm Studios. The amount of different things that they charge you for is absolutely absurd. It gets in the way of being able to enjoy the game. It serves as a huge barrier to entry. And it's just bad for the overall health of the game. On top of that, and this is a huge Mortal Kombat 1 problem, the roster is just absurd. Something that Ed Boon, the co-creator of Mortal Kombat, in case you didn't know, has this problem with is he's a big fan of movies and comic books. Hey, me too. But it comes oftentimes at the expense of longtime Mortal Kombat characters that are fan favorites. When it comes to DLC for Mortal Kombat, especially across the last three games, you can expect a good portion of those characters that they're charging you for to be guest characters from other franchises or something like that, particularly for movies. I mean, just over the last 10 years, since 2015, we've had Jason Voorhees, Leatherface, I was going to call him Bubba Sawyer, but that would have been needlessly confusing, the Xenomorph Alien, a Hiskuten Predator, the Joker from DC Comics, Spawn from Image Comics, John Rambo, RoboCop, the Terminator, the T-1000 Terminator, Ghostface from the Scream franchise, Homelander from The Boys, Peacemaker from DC Comics, more specifically the Suicide Squad and the Peacemaker series, with John Cena, and Omni-Man from Image Comics, more specifically the Invincible series on Amazon. But also, off the top of my head, here's a couple characters that are not consistently present in the last 3 games. Jade. For some reason, she's only in one of those games. Ermac, only in 2. Rain, only in 2. Smoke, only in 1. Sonya Blade, only in 2. Jax, only in 2. It's weird to have these franchise mainstays that have been there, especially since the 3rd game, that are just absent at any given moment, you know? In favor of a batch of new characters because you killed half of them off in the last game. You know, Liu Kang is dead again. All that's besides the point. That's the kind of thing that's bringing Mortal Kombat down. You look over at Tekken, it's one of the most horribly balanced games on the market right now. Pardon the interruption, it's your boy Toxic Boyo, and I wanted to take a brief moment to let you know about the Toxic Touch Productions Patreon. I'm not currently monetized on YouTube, but I still want to bring you the best content that I possibly can. I want to make those videos that you love, and I want them to be the best that they can be. But I need a little help. That's where you guys come in. If you want to support me directly, you can head on over to patreon.com/ToxicTouchProductions or click the link in the description or the pinned comment. For even just $5 a month, you can get your name included in the credits at the end of the video, gain access to exclusive channels on the Discord, and you get specialized merch at no extra cost. It only gets better as the tiers go higher. Go check it out. Thanks for listening and thanks for supporting my dreams. Now let's get back to the video. There's all of these new mechanics that are designed to bring new eyes and new players to the franchise that have never been interested before, but at the expense of the enjoyment of a lot of longtime players. I've been playing Tekken since Tekken 3. And so for me, I really struggle with Tekken 8 because defense is the most important aspect of a fighting game. Most people can agree with that. If you have good defense, you will win games. But some of the highest ranked players in Tekken 8 have some of the worst defense ratings you'll see in the history of the franchise. Because you don't need it. You have 50-50 mix-ups everywhere. Left, right, high, low. You're basically playing paper, rock, scissors, lizard, Spock. You're guessing constantly. And if you guess wrong, you lose half your health. You have attacks that do crazy chip damage when the character is in heat. You have characters that, once they are in heat, have basically a whole new moveset. You have homing attacks that are full screen. You know, you have characters with full screen options that have guns and can shoot chakra beams out of their hands and shoot lasers. And yes, Devil Jin and Kazuya have always shot lasers, but it's never felt as oppressive as it does now. There was also that whole thing with the Ganmaji Temple stage when Heihachi was released. That's neither here nor there. I will say briefly, because I do have another video that I did about this that I don't know if I've put out yet. There is a DLC problem in Tekken 8 as well. Every character, with the exception of Clive Rossfield, who I could talk about if I really wanted to, but I'd rather not. The 4 other DLC characters that we've seen so far were all playable in Tekken 7, whether they were base roster or they were DLC. So we're being charged for characters that either you bought in the last game already, like Lydia Sobieska was introduced in Tekken 7 as a DLC character, and then she was sold to you again as a DLC character in Tekken 8. You know what's really strange about that, though? She only exists in the context of DLC. So you've literally had to buy her twice if you've played her twice. Anna Williams. This is the 2nd straight game where you've had to buy her. And another thing that was weird about Lydia and Eddie being DLC that you had to pay for is that when the free story DLC came out regarding Heihachi Mishima, those two were major characters in the story. Now, I had already purchased the season pass, but I don't know what would have happened if I hadn't. Because one thing about Tekken 8 that's lovely and quirky and fun for all is that if you have not purchased a character, you cannot do anything with that character. The game has this nice feature called replays where you can go back and watch a fight that you've done, and the game will give you tips, it'll give you options, it'll let you replay certain parts of that match to try different routes. It's a good learning tool to help you improve as a player. But if you are up against a character that you don't have access to, you can't do that. So I don't know what that DLC looks like. If it's free to play, but it makes you play as characters that you have to pay for. Maybe somebody that's experienced that can let me know. God, I'm almost 10 minutes into the video, and I'm only just now getting to the point of what I'm trying to say. Street Fighter 6 is dominating right now. It is beating Mortal Kombat and Tekken down into the dirt. And Tekken's the only one of this batch that I've really played, to be honest with you. Never really been a huge Street Fighter fan, but it's interesting looking at where we are now, because last round, when it was Mortal Kombat X and Tekken 7 and Street Fighter 5, Street Fighter was at the bottom of that pecking order the entire time, even leading into Mortal Kombat 11, you know? But from what I've seen, there have been controversies with Street Fighter 6 as well. I'm not really plugged in well enough to know, but what I can speak on is the fighting game community as a whole. I think during the big sick of 2020 is when fighting games were at their best. Everybody was playing Dragon Ball FighterZ. Everybody was playing Grand Blue. Everybody was playing Super Smash Bros. Everybody was playing Mortal Kombat 11. Everybody was playing Tekken 7. And people were excited for Guilty Gear Strive and for King of Fighters 15. That's when the community felt the most plugged in. That's when I was watching the most fighting game content. I was making the most fighting game content. I was participating in online tournaments. We were all participating in online tournaments because that's what we had. But announcements that were coming were huge, and people were plugged in and tapped in all the time. Mortal Kombat 11 had its re-release for the PS5. It was a huge deal, and it brought so many of us together in a way that was unique for me, because I think EVO was online that year as well. And it was so big that year because of the nature of the situation. And obviously there's going to be fall off. But I look now at games that were huge during that time period, particularly Dragon Ball FighterZ. You look now at them, nobody's playing them, right? Nobody's really playing Guilty Gear Strive. Nobody's really playing Grand Blue Fantasy Versus. Sorry about that. I mean, I guess nobody was ever playing Soul Calibur 6. But I don't know, it's tough because we're at a place now where players are very vocal about balancing and about monetization, because monetization is really one of the biggest problems that we face here in the fighting game community. And it's not necessarily exclusive to us, right? But it's one of the genres where it's the most interwoven into the DNA of the games that we play. It's something that you can't really avoid if you want to have a fair and balanced experience. And I disagree with that. These games are $70, man. They charge you $70, and then they want you to pay $40 to $50 for a season pass that's got 4 or 5 characters in it that are going to release over the course of the next year. And that's fine. But the fact that these characters come out and they have an inherent advantage in that they were developed post-release, right? Everybody has experienced how the game works and what mechanics and what tools are available for players to use and exploit, take advantage of. And the developers have that knowledge in their head when they're developing these new characters. So these characters are designed around the current meta of the game at the point that the character gets released, and so they have an automatic advantage. They are built for a system that's already been adjusted, right? And so it feels pay to win, because if you go on there, for that first week, everybody's playing that character. You don't know what they can do, you can't practice against them, right? You can't get used to what their moves are, what their particular mechanics are, what they're capable of, until you buy them. I disagree with that practice entirely, but there's nothing I can do. It's in Mortal Kombat, it's in Street Fighter, it's in Tekken, it's in Dragon Ball FighterZ, it's in Soul Calibur, it's in everything. There's no way around it. And it's something that has just gotten more and more disappointing over time. Especially when you look at a game like Mortal Kombat, because Mortal Kombat 9 had Freddy Krueger in it as a guest character, and Kratos for the PlayStation versions, but that doesn't matter. Had Freddy Krueger as one of the first big guest characters in franchise history. But because of that, because there was a whole thing with the rights to the character, the game is no longer available on digital storefronts, so you can only play it if you have a physical PS3 or Xbox 360 copy of the game. What happens when suddenly NetherRealm loses access to Bubba Sawyer, or the Predator, or the Terminator, or Spawn? Boom. Game gets delisted. And considering that we're heading more and more towards this digital age, that's not good, right? Like that concerns you guys as much as it concerns me, right? Or at least it should. It's not a good sign. It's not a good omen. It kind of spells the eventual doom of a certain game when you have to worry about whether or not the developers are going to be able to even put this character in a game ever again. Or you have something like Super Smash Bros., where they have to go through all this litigation and all this mumbo jumbo to get a character like Cloud Strife into Smash 4. And then when Smash 5 comes out, they have to do it all over again. And what would have happened if they couldn't pull it off? A character that people have been wanting in the franchise for almost 20 years is just gone as soon as we get him. It's just not good practice, right? It's something that, I don't know, maybe I'm just a doomer. Maybe I worry way too much about this sort of thing. But for me, it just, I don't know, it just doesn't do anything to excite me. It just puts a ticking clock on the game's life, if you ask me. But another thing that's been hurting the community and hurting the games themselves is this casual focus that we have. Tekken 8 is a big example. It feels like everything in that game is tailored to the purpose of bringing in new players. And that's obvious. That's good business. You want to bring in new people every single time. Just like I want to bring in new people watching my videos every single time. But I also want people that have been watching my videos for the last few years to be able to feel like they still belong here. I want them to still be able to recognize this channel when they sit down and watch my video and they got their Chick-fil-A or their Chipotle, whatever they're eating while they're watching YouTube. I want them to still feel welcome here. Mortal Kombat and Tekken and Street Fighter have gone in this whole different direction where it's revamped to such a large degree that it feels like they don't want you to play if you've been playing in the past. Like, look at Tekken 7. They added super moves? Since when does Tekken need a comeback mechanic? Since when does Tekken need 3 different characters that have meter? Since when does Tekken need an abundance of sword characters? But now, Tekken 8 has a sparking mode or an X Factor mode, whatever you want to call it. That's what heat is. It changes your stats, it changes your moves, and it regenerates health. We have a rally system in this game that promotes aggression. I understand. Tekken has always been a defense-focused game. That's why it works the way that it does, and that's the appeal of that game. It's not just a, hold R2 to block type of game like Mortal Kombat is, and you just wait it out. But the thing that comes with that is, and this is something that people really took notice of during COVID, when you had more eyes on the game than ever. With a game that's as defense-focused as Tekken 7, it's difficult to get people excited to watch it. Professional Tekken games last quite a while. But they changed that. They are encouraging you to be on offense all the time. I have never perfected more opponents and or been perfected by as many opponents as I have in Tekken 8 across all the dozens of fighting games that I've played over the course of my life. I could boot up Marvel vs. Capcom right now and not get a perfect or get perfected. for hours. Same thing with Dragon Ball FighterZ. Same thing with Mortal Kombat 11. Same thing with Injustice 2. Same thing with Tekken 7. But Tekken 8, I might get perfected 3 times in a row and then perfect that same person 3 times in a row. Because of the nature of the game now. And it makes it not fun to play, it makes it not even fun to watch. For people that have been playing the game for a long time. Newcomers, though. Oh yeah, they're gonna love it, because they don't know. They don't know what's going on. I imagine it's the same as if you were somebody that's been playing Call of Duty ever since Finest Hours came out, and then you saw a clip from Black Ops 6 of somebody shoving a unicorn horn up someone else's ass and blowing them up with it. You might feel the same level of, what's the noun for disheartened? Whatever. You would feel just as disheartened from watching that as I feel from watching Tekken 8 gameplay. But if you had never played a Call of Duty game before, and you are, say, a Fortnite player, and you saw that, you might think it's funny, you might think it's cool, you might start playing Call of Duty. There's a shift in focus that, while I understand it from a capitalist standpoint, it's all, at the end of the day, it's a business. The entertainment industry is a business, it's all about making money, and they're doing what they think is the right thing to do to make as much money as possible. I won't fault them for that. It's just concerning to me. And I know that there's been a hyper focus on just the big 3 franchises in here. Mortal Kombat, Tekken, and Street Fighter are the most popular for a reason. And so when you see this trend of, well, it's really just a negative trend in game design and monetization and appeal to a casual player base and a whole new player base, it kind of tends to trickle down to the rest of the genre, you know? And it's just not, to me, it's just indicative of maybe the beginning of the end. Maybe fighting games are going to lose the foothold that they do have, now that they're the most popular genre of all time, right? Even single-player action adventure or RPGs outsell fighting games on a consistent basis. But we might lose what we got. And Fatal Fury City of the Wolves comes out later this month. Virtua Fighter, I believe, comes out next month. There might be something with, you know, a new Smash next year, or a new Marvel vs. Capcom, fingers crossed. All of that is entirely possible still. Tekken 9 won't be for 4 or 5 more years at the very least. And Mortal Kombat 13, whatever the next game is going to be, that's also going to take 3 or 4 years, so I'm not really too worried about that. What I would like, though, is just for some other franchises to pop back up. Give me a new Killer Instinct. Give me a new Dead or Alive. Give me a new, well, I would like to see a new Injustice, but we'll see what happens there. Give me a new Soul Calibur, though. You know, Soul Calibur 6 was kind of a miss, but it's been almost 7 years. Surely we could try again. I don't know. I guess that was just a whole lot of yapping. It may not have come across as very coherent to any of you guys, but regardless, what do you guys think? Do you think that fighting games are in a good spot now? Do you think they're in a bad spot? What do you think can be done to save them? Do you think they need to be saved at all? Whatever it is, whatever you think, I'm always curious to know. Go ahead and leave a comment, tell me what you think, and I'll see you next time.